Well, thank you as always for taking time to be here and listen to me. So always look forward to seeing you guys on Monday, and really proud of our team and how we've continued to learn and grow each week. Still got a long way to go, but excited to continue to be on that journey with them. One thing of note, from last Saturday's game that I don't think I talked a ton about after the game was just how fast our team started. That was a huge point of emphasis for me and our staff was we have to start this game fast. We can't ease into this. We knew the opponent we were playing. We knew they were going to be well coached and ready to go. We got to start fast. And when you come out, cover the kickoff the way we needed to, 3 and out on defense, first play on offense, touchdown. I don't know if you can start much faster than that. So we got to build on that. The teams we play week in and week out, especially in our conference, you don't have the luxury to ease into a game and kind of feel it out and wait for something to happen for you to create momentum. You have to make sure that you start a game fast, and that starts from your execution and making sure our guys are prepared to go cut it loose. So proud of how our team started fast on Saturday's game. And proud of a lot of different things we did. Like I said, I want to give another shout out to Maddox Madsen. I think that was his best game all season. Continues to learn and grow from some of the things that we needed him to improve on, and he did. And he played really well on Saturday. Was able to get the ball to a lot of receivers. A lot of our receivers were able to make a lot of big plays, which is huge for them. Our O-line continues to keep our quarterbacks off the ground, which is huge. We got to continue to build the depth in our O-line. But 2 guys to give a shout out to. Cage Casey, Ben Dooley, playing at a high level on our O-line. They continue to anchor. We've got a lot of really good guys rotating through and playing. Be able to get the brothers on the field together, Jason and Jake Steele, was really cool to do. I know me and my brother Ethan would have loved to play O-line together. That's just not how God built us. But hopefully little by little, Johnny and Mike, know him a little bit better. So we'll see if we can continue to get that thing rolling. But proud of how our guys continue to grow. Very explosive on offense. That's the awesome thing on Monday. It's still going to be, what do we learn? Where are we growing to? And Hawaii is our biggest game of the season because the next game. And we know the challenge at hand. Defensively, there were some good things we did on defense. Gave up way too many yards, way too many explosive plays, and they are fixable. Now it is our job as coaches. We get paid to be problem solvers. We got to fix the problems, and it's all going to come down to a lack of technique and a lack of tackling. That's all over the film. Have to improve those things on defense and not give up 500 yards of offense like we did on Saturday. Can't happen. We have to be better. We have the guys to do it. Now we got to work our tail off to get it fixed. Especially on the flip side, we're going to play a University of Hawaii team who can throw the ball all around the field, have wide receivers that are matchup issues, have one of the best quarterbacks in our conference. So I know if I'm University of Hawaii and I'm Coach Chang, I can't wait to play the Broncos. And we got to be ready for that challenge, and we will be. And on special teams, man, being able to have that explosive return, Dylan Riley, We've had our struggles with our special teams unit throughout this season, being able to get a kickoff return for a touchdown. We play better, still have some mistakes we got to clean up. Kicking the ball out of bounds can't happen. A couple mistakes in regards to our protection on our punt team, but we are getting better on special teams. Now we got to keep at it. So that's my message always is there's some good things on film. There's some guys that are really continue to step up and really add value to our team and make big plays. Now we got to stay at it. We've learned a lot about our team to this point. Now, how are we going to grow and get these things fixed like we need to? We played 5 games. That is it. There's a lot of hype and outside noise about college football playoff, Heisman, all these things, and none of that's happening now. Right now, we've got a big-time opponent, conference opponent. We got a 6.5-hour flight or whatever it is to go over there. They've been able to knock off a ton of great teams at home, and they got a really good team. Their defense, I think, is top 40 in the country. They're well coached. Coach Thurman was a NFL defensive coordinator. They're flying around. They're going to have a lot of challenging things our offense has to deal with. And obviously, Coach Chang, the play caller, that offense is explosive, and they can throw the ball all over the place. They create a lot of conflict with the defense, and especially pass game has been something that we've struggled in. We got to improve. So the challenge is there. We got to learn and grow from Saturday. Tonight, we're going to learn and grow from the film with our players, and then we're going to flip the switch and be on to Hawaii, and it's our biggest game because of the next one.
You have scored in all 5 games first, and I think you've scored 4 of your 5 opening possessions first. How much conversation goes on in the week to do that right off the bat?
Yeah, it's huge, Prater. You talk about starting fast, getting points on the board, being efficient, and so much of it comes down to Coach Cutter, our offensive staff, the game plan, but it's our players executing. It's not, all right, I'm waiting to work to where I feel like I'm in rhythm. No, you got to start now. That's in our prep from Monday to kickoff, is getting you ready so you can start fast and not wait for something good to happen to where all of a sudden now a big play comes. So I'm proud of our staff. I'm really proud of our players taking that to heart. And a lot of it too, Prater, comes back to practice. Like, we put a premium on starting practice fast. from pre-practice, some walkthroughs, some fits, and then when we get to when it's on and we've got done with our stretch and it's happening. It might be Indy, it might be a team peer, but it is on. We have no time to waste. Our best is required, and so proud of our guys doing it in practice and showing up in the game.
What kind of challenges does this travel pose for you to Hawaii? I mean, obviously, like you said, 6.5 hour trip, 4 hour time zone difference, kind of a late start as opposed to what you're used to. And then, of course, I mean, I'm not saying the team gets distracted, but the distractions are there.
I mean, that's there. I mean, that's part of this battle. I mean, and I've talked to a lot. We played there over in 2020 during COVID, so a little bit different. Have not played in their new stadium yet, me personally or this team. The flight, the travel, the distractions, you're going to a place with the beach and a lot of stuff going on. Like it's a hard place to play and win. I mean, their record at home is really good for a reason. And guys go there that are, these high flying offenses or great defenses and they struggled over there in the past. So for me as a coach, I'm always very upfront and intentional about the challenge at hand. This is a huge challenge and they're well coached. They're playing at a high level. We have to be ready for that. Part of that is in between the lines, but part of that also is all the stuff we're talking about, the distractions, the travel, all the other things that we got to battle as well, which is a part of this opponent. So we got to work out for us.
You let the guys, I mean, even for a 10-minute walk, even go see the beach?
Absolutely. Okay. It's a big deal to me. I mean, even when we get on Thursday, I'm going to have our guys eat with their position group, and they're going to have an hour or two to go walk on the beach and hang out. I tell them, like, big boy hours around here. But these are what I expect when we do this, and the time you're going to be back and how you handle it matters to me. That's the college football experience too. When they go places like this, a lot of our players have never been to Hawaii before. I want them to experience it. It's a phenomenal place, and I'm excited for even Noe. He's going back to see his family, and I'm sure they're going to have tons of people at the game. And even Braxton Feely has a bunch of family from there. I'm sure there's other of our players going to have their families over there. I want them to enjoy that part of it, but we are there on a business trip.
How does it change the preparation this week heading into this game?
Say that one more time.
How does it change the preparation for you guys with the time difference and everything else?
Yeah, well, our prep's going to be, we just got to continue to fine tune it week in and week out. So we're not changing, practice time or hours or any of that kind of stuff. We're going to be very intentional when we fly out there, getting our guys acclimated to the time difference, which is a huge deal. We play at 5 o'clock. The game's kicked off at 5 o'clock. That's 9 o'clock here. We've kicked off at 8 o'clock here, so it's not a huge difference in regards to when kickoff is. But how we handle, the mornings and our practice, because it is a difference, we're going to be intentional, especially when we get over there to handle some of those things. But how we prep, how we practice performance is game reality. We're going to put a paramount on that, as we always will, and we need to grow.
You have some history with Hawaii just over the years, whether it be games, whether a lot of good players you've had come from over there, and with going to the Pac-12 and stuff, this may be the last time you play them for a while or go over there and play there. Just what are your thoughts on what that state has meant for this program and whether it be players, games, whatever? Yeah,
BJ, great question. I mean, we've had a bunch of our great players from Hawaii. And they fit here. They've been huge parts of our culture. The Kanehos. I mean, I can go down the list. And it's been a huge recruiting hotbed for us. We got a couple young men we're recruiting there right now. And just being able to go over there and play, like even in 2020, we played over there in COVID, and they were in the old Aloha Stadium. No one was in the stands. I mean, we've been over there playing for years, probably for decades. And so with us moving conferences here in the future, we're going to play them less. I don't know if that means we'll never play them again, but there's a lot of history between us. I mean, we've had a lot of big time battles with them. Back in even 2019 when Coach Rolovich was there, I mean, we played them on the blue twice, and they were rolling. And I know, Coach Chang's back to that run and shoot offense of old, and they're crushing it. I mean, they create matchup issues. And so there's a lot of history between us and Hawaii, a lot of respect for them and what they do, their staff. I mean, I think Coach Chang's done a phenomenal job getting the staff in there. I mean, these on all three phases, these guys play hard and they play very, very sound. Like, that's always what I look at when I'm watching opponent scout. Like, yeah, you can tell their players are bought into what they want to do in all three phases, and they're extremely sound. Like, you don't see uncovered receivers or guys not in their gap or offensively wrong routes. Like, they're on point, and that creates challenges. And especially, they're going to be at home, they're going to have a crowd. There's a lot of things that we have to combat in this travel trip, but I'm excited for our players to experience it. This is the beautiful part about college football, is being able to do this as a family, have these experiences in the hotel, our guys being able to see the beach. These are the moments that our young men are going to remember years from now when football is over for them, and the connections they have with their teammates on these travel trips means a ton to them, and it means a lot to me.
What do you see in Schrager, the quarterback, with Ashlock, the receiver, it looks like the numbers just pop for those guys.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Petrus and Royals from Utah State. So what do you see in them? Maybe how do they compare with what the two guys from Utah State have?
Yeah, I mean, first, that's one of the most dynamic combinations especially in our conference. And I know even going into this season, doing some preseason opponent scout on our schedule and especially teams we hadn't played in a couple years, Hawaii being one of them. I got a ton of respect for what they do offensively, but especially the weapons they got. I mean, number 5, Ashlock, matchup nightmare. I mean, the guy can run, and from everything I like to do research on the players we're playing. Seems like a phenomenal young man, one of their leaders. And that quarterback, from Texas, I mean, he can put it everywhere. Number 13 can make all the throws. He's nimble on his feet, and he can take off too. They'll do some design tailback draws, but also he can create movement in the pocket. And they're just so sound. I mean, obviously, Coach Chang's been coaching in this offense for a long time, played in something very similar. I mean, they just whatever defense you're in, they're going to have answers to have open receivers. They do a phenomenal job with that and being able to have and it's not just number 5. I mean, I think this is one of the better receiving cores we'll see. I mean, number 5 is a matchup issue. They got a bunch of different wideouts that can make people miss and create leverage issues for a defense. And number 13 can make all the throws. Like I said, going into this season, I knew he was going to be one of the top two quarterbacks in our conference without question. And by numbers, he is.
What's going on with the pass defense? What are you seeing from these previous games going into? It sounds like a bad matchup for you guys this weekend.
Yeah, it comes down to leverage and technique, Sprader. I mean, there is a time on film, like I said, a perfect example for me with not getting into it. Coach Chin calls a post defense. Nobody's in the post. So for me, we're looking at it from all phases. Is it we're not getting the signals? Is it lack of techniques? And a lot of what shows up on film right now is we are not executing our technique. These are day one techniques. When you come to play Boise State football, we teach you these techniques. There's been a drop-off. And that's on me as the head coach. It's on our defensive coaches to get it fixed. We have young men that want to improve. That's not a battle. It's not a, hey guys, we need you to work harder. No, our guys train. They don't run from hard work. Now we have to make sure we fine tune these details. If in this call, you're outside leverage. You have to be outside leverage, non-negotiable. And we weren't that way on Saturday. There was too much. There was some good stuff on defense. Obviously, when you give up 500 yards of offense, that's not going to be talked about. That's the reality when on defense. But we got to be more consistent with our techniques, and we have to tackle better. If we played with better techniques, we tackle better, that's a whole different situation.
As you've seen Maddox kind of almost at the midway point in his first full season as a starter, how have you seen him kind of adjust and grow to living and working in that role? And if you look at it right now, he has the number 1 QB efficiency rating in the Mountain West Conference.
Mm-hmm. Everything Maddox gets right now is earned and deserved because of how he practices and how he preps. And right now I'm seeing a young man continually get in rhythm. Not only in how he himself plays the position, Jay, but how he's leading his teammates. Like, it was great to see that last week. Him grabbing more guys, him being able to be more of a vocal leader. He's a calm, cool, collected competitor, ice in his veins, young man, but him being able to grab a couple more guys and say, hey, that's what we're looking for, man. This is going to be really good. And even in game, seeing him do a lot more. So he's coming into his own. And that's what happens when the more reps you get when you execute and you're successful, and especially off of not playing a very consistent game against Washington State, him being able to flip the switch, have a great week of practice and play the way he did on Saturday, cannot be more proud of. And I also know he's only going to continue to get better because of how he works.
Intangibles, whether it be grabbing guys, leadership, stuff like that. For you, how important is that to see that out of your QB?
It's huge. It's a huge deal. I mean, that position has to do those things. It's not maybe that's not his personality. I get that. But that's something you have to grow in. No different at other positions, you got to grow in certain fundamentals. Like that's a fundamental you have to have in that position because regardless if you're on offense, defense, or special teams, the quarterback has to be one of your leaders. And as a leader, you're taking your team or players around you in the right direction or in the wrong direction. And he has stepped up in that. First off, you got to lead by example, which he already does. And all our quarterbacks do that. First here, last to leave, how they prep. I mean, that's a non-negotiable with that position. But having guys step up and be those leaders. And yes, everyone's a different personality. Whoever God made our young man, I want them to thrive in that and be the best version of themselves. But Maddox he's stepping in his own in regards to how he leads, and he's only going to continue to get better. So just very proud of Maddox.
Bolt and Prince finally getting going a little bit. What can that do now that they get a taste and get back involved a little bit to kind of get their confidence going here moving forward?
Yeah, BJ, great question. It's a huge deal. I mean, especially at the wide receiver position. You get some big catches, you get some touchdowns, you start getting more motivation, more confidence. And so I know, knowing those guys, the competitors they are, they're going to continue to ramp it up in practice. But for both those guys, they had a great week of practice last week. Not perfect. No one on our team practiced perfect last week. That's why we still have a lot to clean up. But they did a much better job in practice, and they did a much better job in the game. And so now, Bolt getting 2 touchdowns, Prince having a couple big-time catches, Chase Penner having a couple big catches. Cam Camper is consistently a matchup issue for defenses. It's going to continue to fuel that fire for those guys to even be better because we need them to be.
Terrell, you mentioned Saturday how this time last week he was doubtful. Maddox is telling us, he went from not being able to raise his hand above his head to playing. Just what did it take to get him in playing position?
Yeah, Latrell Cables, guys, 100%. Like this time last week, it's very questionable to doubtful for the game. And who Latrell is and why you can't help but love that young man is he's like, I'll be ready. Even if the trainers and everyone's saying, I don't know, lived in the training room, worked at it, strengthened it. And by the time we got to Thursday, Friday, our trainer's like, shoot, like Latrell's gonna be ready to play. That's who he is. He's a young man that has been counted out in his life. He's been through injuries. He's had football taken from him. And for him to work his tail off to be healthy to play on Saturday, even in a limited role because of the lack of practice, is a testament to Latrell Cables. And I have to also hit the fact that Latrell Cables is one of the biggest leaders on our entire team. Even when he was hurt and couldn't do a lot of the actual reps, I mean, this young man and how he's around his teammates, how he leads, how he's in the training room leading, making sure he's healthy and ready to roll. I am so proud of Latrell Cables and excited for him to continue to grow.
We're 17 minutes into this press conference, and I don't think we've brought up Ashton Genty's name yet.
It's weird.
It is weird. And is he so damn good that we started taking him for granted?
I know I don't. Maybe you do, Prater, but I don't. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, guys, Ashton Genty's an elite human being, and he's an elite football player. Best football player in the country. I make no bones about it. And he's one of the best leaders I've ever been around. He's a generational talent on and off the football field, and he preps and trains like it. So we can sit here and for my whole 30 minutes talk about Ashton, but Ashton would also want us talking about the rest of his teammates. That's why he is who he is, because whenever I talk to Ashton, it is not about him. It is about how can I help the team? How can I help the team grow? How can I help more in special teams? How can I help our team? Because that's what matters to him. And then he goes out and performs what he does, helps the team. Both those are aligned. And he's just that young man. So like I said, we can sit around and talk about him more and more because he's earned and deserved it. But I love being able to shout out some of our guys that are doing some really good things because it is all about the team. And that's why this is the greatest team sport on the planet. We have the best football player in the country, but we have a really good team that needs to continue to grow and develop. And I love, the other day I saw Kirby Smart had a quote that I loved. I think he said, in the SEC, so I'd just say in college football in general, humility is right around the corner, something like that. Humility is coming for you next week. And it's so true. I mean, you look at college football, that's what you love about college football. I mean, you look at, ranked teams losing to unranked teams or all these different, parity. And that's the beautiful thing about college football. It's all about the next week. And if the next week isn't your biggest game and you don't prep for it, you don't prepare like it, you'll get beat by anybody you play. And so it is the greatest team sport on the planet. So coming back to Ashton, I mean, Ashton Genty is an elite human on and off this football field. But I love being able to talk about the rest of this team because we are the Boise State Broncos, and I'm proud of our team, and I'm proud of where we're going.
To get specific, but I mean, is Chris Marshall injured, or why is he not been?
Yeah, he had an ankle. So he rolled his ankle really bad against Oregon, and it's taken longer than assumed to get him back. Hopefully, he's going to be healthy this week, BJ. I have not gotten that official word yet. He was able to do some routes on air in a little bit last week, but hopefully we get him back. We need him.
You mentioned being in a developmental program, and I know we've talked to you about getting guys down the depth chart into games. When did you decide that you wanted to make that a point of emphasis, and where did, I don't know if you got advice on that or where that came from, because it definitely seems like you're getting the guys a little bit earlier than maybe probably the past decade or so, would have gotten into those types of games.
Yeah, Jay, I mean, on offense, just as a zone, we played 25 guys on offense on Saturday. It's a huge deal to me for the future of this program because I'm a firm believer the only way to get better at playing this game is to play it. and especially in game. So when to do that, when to pull starters and put in, your second string or guys that aren't the starters, that's a fine line every single week. And it's not just my decision. I use, Coach Cutter, the position coach, go into the game with some understandings of kind of the team we're playing. So try and be prepared in every situation, but there's constant conversations in regards to that with Jay on offense, on defense, on special teams, because we got to get our guys out there to play, especially guys that in practice, you're kind of seeing them, Jay, do a good job, right? Man, this guy's growing. Let's go see how he does when we put him in the game. Because that's the only way he's going to grow and develop, and that's the only way me as a coach can give that young man truth. Because if a guy never been in the game, they're going to be like, Coach, give me a shot. Give me a shot. And I'll tell him, your first shot's in practice. If the young man does a good job in practice, it's my job to give him an opportunity to do it in the game. Now, when to do that, the time to do that, that is obviously game dependent, where we're at in the game. But I love being able to get guys in and play because that's how they develop. And that's how a year from now, maybe 2 years from now, some of these guys, they're going to be the guys that we're all sitting here talking about because they got those game reps.
Like even with Dylan getting, 6 carries against Portland State, do you think that helped him step on the field against Utah State and execute what, he really had one significant big opportunity, he hit it?
Absolutely it does. Because now going forward, he's got more and more game reps. And every time he's in that meeting room with Coach J-Mo learning, all the fundamentals and techniques and the schemes to play running back here, he's got even a more motivation in the back of his head. He's like, I'm going to get in the game. I'm going to get in the game. Like, I got to make sure I'm on point just like a starter is. And that's at all positions. If you feel like I'm never going to get in the game, you would love for those young men to still compete and study the way they should. It's hard. When you think there's even a glimmer of light that, shoot, my number might be called, that's going to motivate them to even prep more and help the whole team gel together, which is a huge deal.
Do you make those decisions on when to put guys in on gut instinct, or is it more analytical?
I think both. I mean, there's a feel of a game, but a lot of it is more analytical going into this. And like I said, I didn't go into playing Utah State saying that Ashton Genty, we're going to pull him start in the third quarter. That's just how the game was going. And we wanted to get guys more reps on our offense, on defense, if the game was in a situation where we felt comfortable. That changes, and it's a fine line. Like I said, there was even a time in the game where we had to put some guys back in because we gave up some explosive plays on defense that we can't happen. So it's a fine line. I by no means got it figured out, but making those decisions is in game. But I do go in knowing specifically the guys that have done a good job in practice that we need to get out there. Hey, these guys, we need to make sure that we got to get them reps. Sometimes it's in a situation where you're winning and you can put them in. Sometimes it might be tied and we know, hey, this guy earns it. We got to rotate him in. We got to have him go out there and cut his teeth. So it's a fine line. It's game by game. It's situation by situation. It's player by player. And that's a huge part of my job.
Question, but it's safe to assume Dylan Riley's not redshirting. You're going to go with him?
Yeah, he's gonna play. Yep, he's playing, and like I said, something barring somehow, but we're playing, and that's my message, BJ, to really all our freshmen, and especially with the new rule with you can play in 4 games, you can also play in a championship game and bowl games or whatever you play after and still redshirt. And I just think in college football, like I've noticed here, guys that play as a true freshman, that could be special teams. It could be a little bit of O&D and play and travel and understand all that feels. When they're a sophomore, they've got so much more in the tank and ready and way more prepared than if they just redshirted. Sometimes, I mean, we're going to have a good amount of guys redshirt this year because it could be development, could be where the position group is at. And that doesn't mean they're not going to be big time players for our team. But guys like Dylan Riley, and there's a couple others that are playing on special teams, traveling to every game, maybe going to get in late in a game on O&D, they will be so much better in spring ball 2025. And they'll be even bigger part of our team come fall camp next year, which matters. We're a developmental program. So I keep saying we need our freshmen to develop. We're not going to go to the portal in junior college and fix an issue. We got to make sure our freshmen, sophomores are those guys because those are our best players.
On kickoff, you guys rotate quite a few bodies back there, especially these last few games. Is that just give a guy an opportunity, or let's see who hits this and maybe it sticks, or what is the thought there?
Yeah, it's first off finding our best 11 on our kickoff unit. We've seen it go sideways in the past, and so we want to find who are our best 10 cover guys and who's our best kicker. Who can hopefully kick it out of the end zone and get a touchback, and or who can start to do some different, junk kicks, for lack of better words, to help throw a team off. We want to be on the cutting edge schematically. And so a lot of it in game is adjustments. and seeing who's doing it well, Jay, who's not. Do we got to make changes, not only with our specialists, but also even with some cover guys? Because now the beauty with iPads, you're not waiting till Sunday to be like, oh, that's what was happening. You know right away. This guy missed his block. This guy got blocked. This guy wasn't where he was supposed to be. Like, the information and intel comes quicker than it ever has. And now it's our job as coaches to make in-game adjustments, either A, personnel, or B, schematically, because that's what's happening against us.
That's kind of my next point. You go back to that fourth down stop even by Marco the week before,
Yep.
and they're mentioning the iPads they were able to make that adjustment on. How confident are you guys in what you're doing right now to use that as best you possibly can in game?
Yeah, I feel confident, Jay. I think just like anything, we're trying to make sure we're using it the best way. Me as a coach, I am a firm believer, do not overcoach our players on game day. Like, it is our job to coach them to the highest level Monday to kickoff. But when we roll out on that field, I want a group of guys attacking success. Like, let them cut it loose. Does not mean don't make adjustments. Does not mean that we don't coach them at all. But I think with the iPads, you could easily have your own position meeting where you're trying to clean things up, and then you go on the field and you can see some guys play slow from that. And that's a fine line for us to make sure, yes, we need to make adjustments. We can't be sitting ducks. We gotta learn from plays that we've had prior in a game and be better the next series in any phase. But I am not gonna let our players get overcoached. Like, we need to correct things, but I want them taking the field, not fearing failure, attacking success. So I think that fine line is something we're always looking into.
Regarding Nohi, 2020, not a lot of fans. I don't know if you had any fans in the stands there in Hawaii. What does this mean to him to get a chance to play in front of family and friends?
Yeah, it's a huge deal for Noe. It's a huge deal for our entire team because this is the biggest game of our season to date. But for Noe especially, I mean, a young man that's a senior, we ask a ton of him on special teams, defense. He's played a bunch of positions for us, from corner to nickel to field safety to boundary safety. And he does it with a smile on his face, and he works his tail off to help his family. So I am so proud of Noe. I mean, he is such a great teammate, and he gives us so much versatility on defense and what he does on special teams. So him being able to go back to Hawaii, play in front of, I don't know how many tickets and who's going to be there for. I know it's going to be a lot. And his mom and dad, Jared and Misty, are phenomenal people. The first time that I met the Canijos was Kala's official visit back in January 2017. And I'll never forget, and Noe wasn't on that trip, but meeting Kala, meeting Jarrett, meeting Misty, and I was, a graduate assistant just trying to figure out why it's so cold in Boise, Idaho. And here's this young man from Hawaii and meeting his parents and getting to know them now over these 8 years. I mean, he comes from a phenomenal family, and Noe's just going to be a champion in life. So him being able to go back to Hawaii, play in front of his fans, his family, I'm excited for him.
How unique is maybe your connection with a guy like Noe? And a lot of people don't. He's a dad. A lot of people don't see him say goodbye to his kids for a little while and things like that. So just type of dynamic does that add is in your guys' player-coach relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I got so much respect for Noe, and his life is different than every one of everyone's life is different, but his life, especially as a father, is very different than a lot of our other football players. But it's hard. I mean, the stuff that he goes through to get his degree here to play football when his kids are in Hawaii and he only sees them on breaks or when they're able to come out to games, that's hard. I mean, I tell him, I can't imagine, only seeing my girls for those small amount of time, but it's a sacrifice he's willing to make because he knows he's betting on the long term. He's getting his degree. He's working his tail off to be a part of this football team and help us. And he knows long term that he's going to be able to take care of his family the right way. And it's also a testament to his parents. Like I said, Jared and Misty are 10 out of 10 people, have raised him, call their kids the right way. And so the respect I have for Noe because of what he has to deal with outside of the strenuous and anxiety that comes with being a student athlete, he's also a father. And that's a lot on his plate, and he's doing a great job with it. I know it's not easy. And so I just got a ton of respect for him. I know his teammates do too, the sacrifice that he has, being here every day, being early, all the stuff that we demand of him, and his kids aren't around. So him being able to see his family this weekend, see his kids, he deserves it.
Anything else? All right, thank you.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it, fellas.